and I'm open to hearing your opinion, but I personally think people move because of, like you said, what's going on in their life. I don't think that those elections will really make a big difference on whether or not people move. Welcome to another episode of The Den, brought to you by the Knox Fox Real Estate Group. I'm Eric Whitener, broker owner of the Knox Fox Real Estate Group, and today my special guest is Teri Jo Fox. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Hey, so today we're going to do things just a little bit different. Want to talk about some things I'm seeing in the news, and kind of get your take, your reaction a little bit on it. So we'll just kind of jump right into it. Uh, Here recently, the CEO of Redfin got on the Cavuto show, and that is Glenn Kelman, CEO of Redfin. And basically, the headline of this article is Redfin CEO says housing market is in a funk as home buyers weigh election uncertainty. So right from the title, we're already saying that first of all, housing's in a funk, and it's because of the election.
And that captures people's attention.
It does. It's good. It's good. It got my attention. I clicked on it. So I'm gonna just read a little bit of this article for you. Um, he says housing is just in a funk. Even though interest rates have dropped 20 to 30 basis points over the past few weeks, we've seen home buyers still on the sidelines, Kelman explained. It says, despite the recent economic hardships home buyers have faced, Kelman predicted that the U.S. critical presidential election is the real issue why buyers are being shelved. The real issue, this is a quote, the real issue might just be the election. We've talked to so many home buyers who say they're going to wait to see what happens in this election. It's gripping the nation's psyche, as you may have heard, he said. But then in the next line it says, Kelman continued, noting that inventory and affordability have become an additional economic obstacle within the real estate market. What's your thoughts on that?
So when we're talking to buyers, leads, consumer, whichever you want to call them, there are a few that say, hey, we're going to hold off until we know what's going on with the election. Honestly, I do not necessarily see that as a problem or holding back, because over however many decades, we always have an election every 4 years.
Yeah.
Is it really, should it be preventing you from actually viewing and figuring out what the best option for you and your family are?
Well, like what really normally, nothing's really going to change the difference between, 2024 to the beginning of 2025.
Not at all.
Just because, like, how long are you going to wait at that point? It's always kind of an interesting thing. And I do know that people have always said, like, oh, it's an election year.
Yes.
Oh, it's an election year.
Yes.
Like, we can expect things to be a little wonky. I don't know if I would call it a funk.
I don't see a funk in East Tennessee. Just know that, we are still talking to buyers regularly, getting them pre-approved with our preferred lenders. We still talk to people that have already been pre-approved. We still have people relocating to the area. And, we just put a lake house under contract in 6 days.
Yeah.
Like,
No, we're definitely seeing activity. There's always people buying and selling real estate.
Always.
There's always. And I think the funny part, he goes on in this article to talk about, about inventory, home prices, and interest rates, basically, but puts more emphasis on the election. I will say, in my opinion, it's probably had more to do with prices and interest rates. And I think that uncertainty definitely slows people down.
always, it's the fear of uncertainty, the fear of loss, so forth and so on.
Yeah,
So,
you don't want to buy a house and then have it lose value.
true.
You don't want to buy a house today and then tomorrow interest rates drop. Like, then you feel like you
Just know and this is what the consumer needs to know. If you purchase now at current rates or current pricing, so forth and so on, you can always refinance if the interest rates drop in, the election year. So you can always do that. And I would always suggest waiting at least 6 months so you have that solid payment there for at least 6 months. But after that, I mean, you can always refinance and get a bit better rate
Well, yeah. I mean,
at today's prices.
well, yeah. So there's so much more. There's so much more in there. I mean, and he talks about. He says, inventory is going to remain very low for a long time, just because people who got a 3% rate aren't going to give up that loan,
That
as you
is
suggest.
true.
So that is there is some truth to that.
There is accuracy in, I mean, nobody truly wants to give up their super low rate.
But why do people buy and sell real estate?
Change of lives.
Change of life.
I mean, nobody does it for fun, is what you like to always
Yeah,
say. Nobody moves for fun. So we're going to see it when people are downsizing, whether with children moving out. That we're going to see it with divorces. We're going to see it with relocation of getting new careers in different areas. We're also going to see it potentially when you have to change your living style for no stairs, with stairs, whether you're moving in-laws in, things like that. I mean, everybody is always, however their life circumstances change, they are going to make a move. If they get uncomfortable, they're going to make a move. Potentially also, if they realize they have enough equity in their home, they potentially want to pull the equity out, they're going to make a move.
Yeah, so there's always going to be the 6 Ds, and that's what you were talking about. So like death, divorce, disability, a decrease in income, distance. This is where like maybe you work on the other side of town, or your grandkids are in another state. Whatever it is, there's something pulling on you to move to make your life a little bit more easier. And then default. So there are always people who are going through, there are always a certain percentage going through some financial hardship.
Just an FYI, I talked to 3 grandparents in the last maybe 5 days. They're all willing to relocate to be closer to grandkids.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And potentially even help the parents if the parents are like the children are moving and they're like, I have to be close to make sure I can help with them. So, because they're new to the area, we don't want them to struggle, so forth and so on. So, I mean, that is a huge one. Huge. Divorce is not always obviously the one that you hear or know about up front because people are not wanting to share that information.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So he goes on to say America built until America builds more housing over the next 5 or 10 years, we might be in a low sales volume market. Maybe the election will make a difference, just because people can get back to the basic activities of commerce. But I think that housing is just going to be at low volume for a little while now. Now, sometimes I notice, especially in news articles, especially when people, quote unquote, housing experts, when they start talking about the state of the housing economy, or what's going on, they start to mix multiple things in. So we're talking 1 minute about inventory. We're talking about building homes, okay, and then we talk about the election. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see builders worried right now about the election. Builders are only worried about how many people are buying houses. Mm-hmm. Like they're a for-profit company, so they're going to build to meet demand, not too much, not too less, and that I've not heard any report. Like this is the first time I've seen somebody like pull out the election might be causing builders. Maybe I'm trying to understand what he's saying here.
What area is he referencing?
So it's
I mean,
CEO
it's
Redfin.
Redfin, so you would think it would be nationwide, but
Nationwide.
it's not necessarily hitting on one of the top 10, cities in America to purchase in, and that would be our East Tennessee area.
Well, so I
Do
pull
you know?
this.
I mean, it's just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like so these catchy headlines, that they
What do you call those?
clickbait.
Clickbait, but then you called it the other. Like you were trying to tell me something yesterday, and you're like, "What's your phrase? What's your title gonna be?" Like
Your hook.
the hook, the
Yeah,
hook.
the hook. So I I just want to know. I mean, so for those of you listening to this, whether it's on uh, a podcast channel, if it's on Facebook, YouTube, put a comment down below. Let me know. Are you holding off on your next real estate transaction because of the election, or are you waiting for other things, maybe like better interest rates? You're waiting to see what housing prices do. What is motivating you to either get in the game or sit on the sideline?
I will say, of course, we're not as busy as 2020 to 2022 because of the unforeseen circumstances in the world on COVID.
Yeah,
But
COVID, low interest rates.
we have been in real estate since 2006, 2007, and I am A-okay with the way the market currently is. It is pre-COVID. It is 2017, 2018, 2019. I absolutely am okay with it. It takes away a lot of, I mean, during the COVID crisis of purchasing real estate in East Tennessee was crazy.
It
I
was
mean,
crazy.
people were getting 40 to 70 offers on their houses. They were getting between 20 and 150,000 over asking price, which is just outrageous. That was an uncertainty of, but purchasing then has, I think, shown to the consumer and so forth that East Tennessee prices are not dropping pre-COVID at all. We're never going to see that again.
No,
I feel that confident as a professional as well as a homeowner. I do not see our prices dropping. And if you see price adjustments, that is where someone just is readjusting for the current market.
well,
That's it.
they might have. So that's when people start talking about, there's so many price reductions or price reductions have increased. Uh, a lot of that is due to that seller starting off with what we call aspirational pricing, right? Like if I could get X, that would be great. So let's start here. And then if it sits on the market for a few days, weeks,
Couple
whatever,
weeks, yeah.
then they end up, reducing the price to get it more in line with the market. That doesn't mean that home prices are falling.
No.
Just because a price reduction could be $1, it could be 20 grand, 30 grand.
But it
Like,
also is something to look at is that if you see a house that's on the market and you're like, oh, I'm going to wait, don't wait. Start negotiating. That's what I mean, and that's what I've actually told agents too. They're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna wait. We're just gonna wait. They think it's overpriced." It's like, then make an offer. That's what we've done prior to COVID. We've always made offers and negotiated to figure out what the best option is for both parties, buyers and sellers. So don't be afraid if you are a buyer, if you are a seller, whichever. Don't be afraid on the buy side to make an offer.
yeah. Well, that's how you test the market. It's just like the seller's testing the market, that's how a buyer can test the
Yeah.
market is to see at the end of the day, like I mean, it is you can make an offensive offer, so I don't want to say it's not offensive, but at the end of the day, it's business,
It
right?
is.
That seller has the ability to say yes, no, or maybe.
And in regards to that comment that you just made, if it's a house that you truly love and you feel as though there is no other option for you in the world,
Don't write an
then
offensive
don't
offer.
write that type of offer. I mean, you have to have some, also, if the owners live next door, don't write that type of offer.
Yeah.
We
So
are speaking in
based on
experience here.
an actual example, yeah. We had a client who was wanting to write a low ball offer, a real low ball offer on a property when the people who owned it actually did live next door. So not only did he run the risk of, these people telling him to go kick sand, if we were to have been able to negotiate it out, that would be a rocky start to,
And
neighbors.
you know what? It still is up to the consumer, the client, the buyer, in if they would like to still proceed. But it was I feel like our position and our job to make them aware of what that could look like if it did turn out to be the outcome. Just big picture of, hey, you're willing to live next door to a situation
Yeah.
like this.
Sometimes
So
you got to think about the whole thing. So just I want to touch on two other things that I pulled up because once I started down this path, I was like, okay, so I started looking at some other news articles. But here's one from the National Association of Realtors. Now, the headlines on this one is existing home sales slipped 5.4% in June. Median sales price jumps to record high of $426,900. So obviously these are national numbers again, but essentially what it's saying is, yeah, home sales themselves, the number of transactions are down. Matter of fact, a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.89 million. That is a really low number. We average typically in the 5 million range is a normal year. Um, the like post COVID years, we were getting up over 6. So a lot of people also front loaded. We front loaded a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
post COVID. They bought homes that they may have been buying now because they took advantage of low rates. But at the same time, this is where like the market crash or the real estate's in a funk. This is where they all like miss the boat. Median existing home sales prices, it says bounced 4.1%. So prices are still going up.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of contradicts what a lot of people would think, like when you say real estate's in a funk. You would think that home prices would potentially
And
be
I
coming
will
down.
say that I'm sure that home pricing in the market is not as strong in all parts of the country. Um, and that will affect obviously our numbers when you talk about averages, but and it will affect us when people need to relocate to our area and things like that. They can't do it until they potentially sell and so forth. But I, I mean, I don't see a funk again here in East Tennessee.
Well, what makes so we all know when it comes to real estate, they're not making land. They're not making any more of.
No.
So as things get developed, as things get purchased, that's what creates this like supply and demand,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to like let's bring this like local because all of this has been kind of national news. I pulled up this article from Knox News. Knoxville has the fastest rising housing prices in America. New report says. Now this just came out. This was published on the July 26th, and it says that now everybody in the country when I say this stat, every market had a jump from pre-COVID to post-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it says Knoxville had the fastest rising prices in the country over the last 5 years, with median home listing prices rising at a whopping 83%. That's big.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like I mean, that's not put in comparison to the rest of.
So do you really feel like that's healthy?
No, well, I mean, well, no, but that was that. All that had to do with was also like the low interest rates and a lot
Yep.
of printing of money.
But it
Um,
is not healthy for any market to jump that high.
yeah, it says
And now we're readjusting, basically.
agent advice. I don't know what agent advice is, but agent advice analyzed data from Zillow and found the median listing price in June of 2019 was $189,483. It jumped to $347,303 by May of 2024.
And when I say it's not healthy, like, let me just, so I'm not contradicting, it's not healthy to continuously go like that.
Right.
A healthy market is between 3 and 8% annually for it. So if you're at 5, I mean, even if we get up to 8, that's a healthy market for you to, build equity in your home.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways that people build equity.
Mhm.
Even if at the low end of that, the 3% a year, you're the home value is going up. At the same time, you're paying down your mortgage.
Mhm.
Not to mention, you get the benefit of that fixed rate, so your housing payment doesn't change, but over time, your income typically increases. So
Mhm.
there's so many benefits to home ownership that way. Um, so this article though talks about how that home buyers, it says home, I'll just read it. Homeowners and buyers nationwide are experiencing affordability crisis, especially where affordable housing is in low supply. The crunch has hit Knoxville hard. The problem doesn't seem to be going away. Knoxville is projected to have the biggest home value increase in the South in 2025, according to Go Banking Rates report. Um, top it goes in to say top 10 markets with the fastest rising property prices. Metro markets and the increase in median listing prices from June of 2019 to May 2024. Knoxville at 83%, Naples, Florida at 75%, Atlantic City, New Jersey at 73%, Ocala, Florida at 71. So the list goes on. I'll put some links in the article down below so that you guys can check this out. But interesting. So we talked about the highest. So on the slowest rising property prices, you have New Orleans at 9%, Lafayette at 9%, and Shreveport at 11%. Kind of interesting geographic location on that. It goes on to say Knoxville Metropolitan also had the 5th fastest rent growth in the country in 2023. So
we're not on the. So I saw a post or an article this morning that basically stated the top 10 for rental areas and so forth, and like their highest rental. Austin, Texas is number 1. Nashville was like number 7, but we were not listed.
So it is so interesting because I mean I've got articles. Austin and Nashville both have major jumps in inventory.
Yeah.
And like so there's like this tug of war between rentals and home sales. I thought this part was pretty interesting. New homeowners flock to Knox County. Knox County is predicted to have explosive growth in the next 20 years and beyond, which is contributing to the housing crunch. Nobody has a crystal ball, but local government and organizations mostly use projections from the Knoxville Regional Transportation Planning Organization or the University of Tennessee Boyd Center for Business and Economic Research. Their estimates differ slightly, but on this they agree. By 2045, expect there to be around 80,000 more people in Knox County than there are in 2024. It's not that shocking because Knox County population of just under 500,000 in 2024, according to the Boyd Center, has become a popular place to move to. In the past year, you've probably heard the phrase, "the secret is out," from many elected officials. Now, we've been saying that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Knoxville's on the map. People are definitely moving this way. We're still
found our gym.
Yeah, we are still very affordable compared to lots of a lot of parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But to sit here and think about another 80,000 people moving here by 2045. Now that's a little ways away.
Not really.
Well, it's 2024.
Exactly. It's not that far away.
but so 80,000 over the next what?
Year?
No, 2045.
Oh, I swear you said 2025.
2045.
Did he not say 45? Did he say 25? 45.
I said 2045.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, 80,000 people in the next year would be bananas.
I know. I was like, wow, Eric, that's not that far away. Okay, my bad.
So
that is I mean, that's still 20 years. So
what that tells me though is in 20 years, are we going to how are we going to
how many people will leave during that time?
That's a great question.
Nobody knows that because we have so much relocation in and out of our area because of the university, because of Oak Ridge, the secret city, because of we have a strong economic growth here. So, and people do relocate their businesses because of the tax benefits and as well as we have the 4075 intersection through our city. So we do have a lot of great things for growth, but people relocate out all the time.
Well, yeah, people definitely move away. I mean, we're helping one of our recent clients. They're moving to was that South Carolina to be near the ocean. So there's lots of different things. It's just if I were to say, hey, in the next 20 years, there's going to be 80,000 more people here, and I can't tell you the rate of new construction right now, but I know we're not building probably 10,000 homes a year.
Oh, I'm not thinking that as at
We're
all,
not
honestly.
5,000 homes like in Knox County. How hard is
So it's hard to just narrow it down to Knox County for me. It really is because there are so many counties in the state of Tennessee, and we work East Tennessee, and you don't know if you're going from one county to the next. Truly, like I mean, you could be on Pellissippi, and you don't. I mean, from North Shore to Topside
well,
is
Anderson, Knoxville to Blunt?
yeah, I mean, but even those two right there, if you're like there, I mean, once you hit Topside, you're truly in Blount County. Like 4 minutes up the road, you're in Loudoun County from our office. Like you don't, and a lot of people don't. So that's what
So
I try to tell. I like people to be educated on the area, and they say, "Oh, I want to be in Knoxville," and I'm like, "Wait a minute. Like, what about?" So we give them map tours, and I mean, just now I was just speaking with a couple. They're moving here from Naples, and they they're like, "Well, we had no idea that we were in this county when we were driving."
they're coming from the second fastest growing
Yes.
to the first.
So,
Um,
and then we have a couple in from Ocala right now as well.
so
So
and
when you were mentioning
they
that,
were
I
on
was
the
like,
list. Yes, fourth on the
yes.
list.
What was on
Um,
that? Who else was on that list? Because I can tell you,
so we had Ocala, Tampa, Port St. Lucie, Northport, Florida, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Miami, Florida, Hickory, North Carolina.
so the couple from Naples is he's a retired from Miami-Dade as well. So he's kind of been all over the place.
So most of the cities on this list, the majority of them are all Florida cities. With so one, two, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six of them are all out of Florida. So what I kind of hear you saying is yes, we could expect a lot of people to move here, but they're probably not all going to move to Knox County. They're going to
No.
be in. They're going to have to.
How many counties are in Tennessee?
I don't know how many
You
counties.
don't know?
I don't know.
I tell people this all the time. There's 95 counties.
But how many counties are within like a 45-minute drive of downtown?
We're looking at like 20.
You think so?
Well, maybe not 45 minutes. But okay, so we kind of work in approximately 20 counties. And I mean, it's solid, almost 20 counties, seriously. It's ridiculous. But from
Okay.
Knox County out, um, you're maybe 15.
So places like Loudoun, Roane County, Anderson,
Granger,
Granger.
Campbell, Union. I
So
mean,
people are going to be we need construction and growth in
some of our outskirts areas. And I think that
that would help keep prices down.
eh, and there is still the land in like obviously East Knoxville and out like Strawberry Plains and things like that. But when you're considering kind of building in those areas, you really have to look at the utilities of, I mean, we realized during 2020 that, when kids couldn't go to school, we didn't have a lot of internet and broadband. And that we did recently in the last 2 years get a grant to install better fiber optics and broadband throughout the state so that all were benefiting and not just city folk.
And I know there's also things like say sewer and stuff like that we have. Some of the issues we have in East Tennessee being that we're up against the Smokies is rockiness. We have ridges. We have like go between where our office is in Hardin Valley. There's a big ridge. You really can't build a subdivision across that. So that I know that has posed some issues for the east side. Is like where do we put to your point, the utilities needed to service all of those people because that would require probably a new
It's
sewer plant or
potentially, but there are builders who are starting to, and we won't see it necessarily right away because all of that takes time. When somebody is developing 100 acres, 200,000, whichever it is, for a subdivision, obviously that takes time. That is not an instant gratification situation. That is a 1 to 3 year research, figuring it out. and then, obviously zoning, things like that, building. So, I mean, there's going to be things taking place on that side. I was at an event when Mayor Jacobs was there, and he clearly said East Knoxville is the next part of our growth because that is where the land still is.
So,
So
so what I'm hearing you say is we need to go there and buy some land.
I told you that, dude.
So, so there's your investment nugget for today.
Let me know.
Um, East Knoxville.
And it's
Honestly,
not just East Knoxville, it's east of Knoxville as well. So it could be, into the Strawberry Plains area. It could be into Corrington, Gibbs. I mean, it's that entire area because it's where, and I'm sorry if you live in those areas and you're like, don't share that, or growth is going to happen. You either are on board and you help the growth and you have your opinion of it, or you're not and you have other opinions. So, but growth is going to happen whether you like it or not.
yeah. Well, it's it's coming.
It's coming, but it also does add value to your homes. It adds value to your lives because when you have growth in homeowners and so forth, you also get other things like parks, like a bigger airport, like economic growth, like lower taxes. I mean, you get all of that when you have growth of your community as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of benefits. I mean, the only reason why we have a Costco is because we were an area that had a large enough population to support one. And as the area grows, then and that Costco gets, I mean, it stays busy all the time, which tells me that there's room for another
I
Costco
hope they put
somewhere.
one in Maryville.
I
I really hope for Maryville because I think that will be a great spot for the Blount County as well as for anybody who is down in Monroe County and further because our Costco, it's like the only one in the entire area for like 300 miles. I mean, people from Kentucky come down to it.
it's
So
it's 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 pretty
good
wild.
for Farragut.
Yeah, it's
I
great for
mean,
Farragut considering,
Knoxville. So
but nonetheless, I wanna just kind of bring this back because
go
we've
for it.
gone down
Sorry.
a large. Oh,
You said you wanted to have conversation. Here we are.
here we are. Um, so coming back to the article,
Mm-hmm.
obviously a lot of people. I mean, if we're projecting 80,000 people to move here over the next 20 years, that there's a lot of elections that'll happen during that time,
Yes.
right? Ultimately,
5.
ultimately, I don't think that those elections will really make a big difference on whether or not people move. I personally, and I'm open to hearing your opinion, but I personally think people move because of, like you said, what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
When your home no longer fits your lifestyle, your needs, your wants, then you make the move. When the
If you're
need
uncomfortable, you're going to make the move.
when that uncomfortableness is greater than straightening up your house, getting it all cleaned and ready to go, letting people come tour it for showings, going through negotiation and contract, getting a moving truck and packing and moving, potentially whether it's cross town or across the country. All of that is a bunch of work that, like I said, nobody wakes up on Friday and says, "Hey, honey, I got a great idea. Let's move this weekend."
I might wake up and say that to you tomorrow.
No, it's a so, and I mean, we're a prime example. We would sell our house. We would move, but number one,
We're not uncomfortable yet.
we're not uncomfortable enough.
Nope.
They're
But you put a skunk in my backyard. I promise
Yeah.
you it's getting close.
Yeah, we just
We'll go down that alley in a minute.
when people move, when the uncomfortableness of their living situation outweighs what it takes to make a move to make that transition. So
Speaking of uncomfortableness,
yeah, you mentioned
the
skunks.
skunk.
So I'll let you go ahead and what tell your
So
skunk story.
So if you have experience with skunks, I'm sorry. Just know this because our dog didn't even get full blown sprayed. Um, he was sitting on Eric's lap on the back porch, and the
Just all of
little
a sudden, just took off. He launched off my
and
lap.
and the skunk literally went under your chair
Okay, so this is the second time that
in three
now
weeks.
that I've come across this skunk. So last time he went, just walked, strolled across the back patio, went underneath the couch, the
He has
sofa,
like
whatever
no
you want to call that.
fear. This
The,
little thing.
yeah, and so like, of course, I grabbed Buddy and we ran inside that time. This time, I'm sitting in the chair, and it's dark out. I didn't even I didn't see the thing because it's black, right? Buddy launches. I look up, and it's walking towards me, and I jump up, and I'm yelling at Buddy, and it just strolled right under my chair and kept on walking. Um, I didn't even I didn't think anything had happened at that point.
Yes. So it did spray.
It did.
We let Buddy in the house. We did not have the ingredients to make the
Concoction.
concoction that everybody talks about. So just an FYI, I have figured it out. I did not use tomato sauce, juice, whatever it is. But that is told to be a myth. It only does, what it does is it masks the oil actually into their skin, is what I have read and heard now. So you really have to utilize this concoction of peroxide, baking soda, and dish soap. Dawn is obviously preferred because of everybody, what they think about Dawn. So those three things you have, and I did not let it sit long enough on Buddy, but my groomer the next morning said let it sit for 10 minutes. She actually suggested make it into a paste. We did not have a paste. We actually had more of a liquid. So there, I don't know what the best is that. You cannot get it in their mouths. You cannot get it in their eyes because peroxide can make them throw up. So I literally had gloves on because I didn't want it in my fingers and put it nice, easy on his head. But I should have, I guess, let it sit a little bit longer. And then I was told by someone else, so many opinions on this too, is that for the next 6 months, every time it rains, it brings the oil a little bit more out of their skin. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't.
So
Not
just saying.
not much we can really do about it. Unfortunately, we did get some of the odor in the house, so we kind of
I
waiting
have
for that
used
to go away.
essential oils heavily in the house.
This is something if you're moving to East Tennessee, like we do have skunks. And
Yes.
people think of bears and stuff, but we have other wildlife, and um,
And skunks are hard to get rid of. So researching it, we can have a wildlife person come out and do it. I'm really hesitant on that because
if they catch it, they have to euthanize it.
if it's an adult,
Yeah.
and I don't want it to die, but I don't want it to live in my backyard either. Another way is there's these sensors that we can plug in. They're solar and so forth, but it says it gets rid of like neighborhood dogs out of your yard too. How does that not affect my dog then? Like our dog, that bothers me.
It's our dog now.
Sometimes. And then there was another thing that's pellets that you can scatter in your yard to keep it. And they say that's safe for your dogs too. But at the same time, I don't want my dog eating some type of pellet that could be for a skunk. That's just weird. So let me know if you have any bright ideas on keeping skunks out of the backyard because they can dig under, they can go through fences. I mean, it's.
So yeah, okay. So if you have a special skunk remedy, whether it's to get rid of skunks or to get rid of skunk smell, definitely let us know. Put
The house does not smell anymore.
Uh,
It does. Put it in the comments, please. We'd love to hear
Yeah.
your information. But it does. The house doesn't really smell anymore. I did stay up very late. I made sure that I did a spray from essential oils, and then I did a diffuser, and then yesterday I started doing like thieves with peppermint and lemon in it. So and when I came in last night, I did not smell it. I smelled pork chops cooking.
So there you go, guys. There's your daily your tip for the day.
What's your favorite house? What did I call it
House
yesterday?
hack.
House hack. I would love to hear your house hack because I am always interested, obviously being in real estate, and I love to share that information with our clients when we are, selling, helping them, advising them, anything like that. So,
So maybe we could end some shows with
favorite house
some
hacks.
house hacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you one right now that we'll probably bring up again later. But when as we we're still in summer, but as we start to transition into fall and winter, a common mistake people make is they leave their garden hoses attached
Mm,
to the spigot. And it doesn't matter if your spigot is what do they call it, freeze proof or whatever. If you do that and there's water in the connection, you won't know. You won't know that you broke a pipe until spring when you go to turn that back on.
yeah.
And so that it's a simple house hack, but do not leave any hoses attached when you're going into
Like
winter.
into fall, yeah. Like take
Yeah,
them
like just
off.
take them
I
off.
mean, it's not like you're really watering it anyways. Like take them off, store them in your garage
But
or,
but
storage space. And
shout out to Wayne, our favorite plumber.
yes,
He
United Plumbing,
United,
Wayne Pearson.
yeah, Wayne Pearson with United Plumbing. He basically says in the springtime he gets a ton of calls for just that problem.
Hmm.
People who have water leaks into their garage and stuff because they've left their hose attached. So that's my house hack for today.
Mine was the skunk. So
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off today. If you have questions about the real estate market, if you have thoughts of buying or selling a home, reach out to us.
even
Everything,
if it's not right now, if you
yeah,
just want information, where I'm always happy to provide information and advise or so forth. So
so
always reach out.
exactly, because here's the thing. The news is confusing. That was really kind of the point of today's episode. The news is confusing. Sometimes we have to sit down and take a look at the numbers, look at your timeline and what you want to do, and help you decide if now's the right time for you or not. It doesn't matter what's going on, politically in the United States. It matters what's going on in your house.
You need to
And
be aware of throughout what's not local because that, obviously we want you to be aware of that, but we also want you to have accurate information for local.
100%,
Yes.
because that's how you should make your decision. It
Yes.
doesn't matter what's happening in California as much as it matters what's happening in your neighborhood. So that all starts with a conversation. Feel free to reach out to us. If you like this episode, you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all those great things. We'd greatly appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you next time.